The southwest of Western Australia is a biodiversity hotspot. We have so many unique animals and plants that are not found anywhere else in the world. But to be a biodiversity hotspot, an area needs to have lost 70% or more of its native vegetation. With only small pockets of native vegetation left, the health of these natural systems has been decreased greatly. The remaining pockets of native vegetation are often susceptible to weeds, disease, and other disturbances. One particularly nasty plant disease is Phytophthora or dieback. Phytophthora dieback is caused by a soil-borne pathogen from the family of the water molds. The disease attacks the roots of susceptible plants and prevents them from taking up nutrients. Over time, and with the aid of water, the disease can spread, destroying large areas of native vegetation. This is a huge problem, as it's not only the plants in that area that we lose, but also the diversity of animals and other organisms. One such area that has been affected by Phytophthora dieback is Ellis Brook Valley in the Banyala Nature Reserve. This area is popular with tourists, walkers and hikers. Dieback was detected here recently, and in response, the Gosnells City Council installed 4 new shoe cleaning stations at popular trailheads. To find out more about this plant disease, we spoke to Charlie Jones from SDF Global. How does Phytophthora dieback spread?
The Phytophthora dieback is spread by root-to-root contact between plants, and it also spreads through the movement of contaminated soil and water. So some human activities that affect that are things like road building and maintenance through bushland areas, harvesting and logging, mining, and also bushwalking. For example, with bushwalking, you can pick up the fungus on your shoes from an infected area, and then the soil will get stuck on your shoes and transfer through to a different area, and then plants can be infected with that once your soil's been deposited there. So that means that if proper hygiene precautions aren't taken, so that is to clean your shoes and your cars, if you've been bushwalking or four-wheel driving before entering an area that's dieback free, or when exiting an area that you've been in that you know contains dieback, that means that the soil containing Phytophthora can easily be carried throughout the landscape.
How do you manage Phytophthora dieback?
Some of the main methods of prevention and management that are used at the moment include applying phosphate, a chemical spray or injection. This has proved successful in a lot of areas in terms of managing the disease, but hasn't been able to yet eradicate it. But a problem with that is that many native plant species in Australia are quite sensitive to high concentrations of phosphate, which is contained in the spray.
Who is managing Phytophthora dieback at the moment?
Many governments have action plans for managing dieback, as well as the state and federal government departments. And in 2015, there was a conference held for the Dieback Working Group, which is a not-for-profit that aims to encourage awareness, education, management and treatment of the plant disease.
We've known about this disease for a while, but we've only relatively recently established what causes the disease and which specific species of Phytophthora are to blame. What's the future of Phytophthora dieback management?
It's difficult to say what dieback management will look like in the future, but research will certainly be an important part of that because we still don't completely understand the disease. Something that's a new and important area is climate change and how that relates to the disease, because it is putting increasing pressure on the environment. For example, changing rainfall patterns, which is important in terms of dieback. So many researchers are currently looking at how climate change may increase or change the negative effects of Phytophthora and lead to further habitat loss, and how we can best manage the disease considering climate change impacts in different areas.